Hey guys, thank you for watching and welcome back to my channel. If you are returning and if you are new here, hello, I'm Stephanie. And over here I like to do product reviews, tutorials using eyeshadow and foundation and just all kinds of makeup. I am not a makeup artist by any means. I just love to play with makeup and do different things and review products and show you guys what is working and what isn't. So if you like product reviews and tutorials without using filters or any trickery, please consider subscribing. I would honestly love having you here. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so I have been alternating between affordable brands and more of the high-end luxury brands, and today I really wanted to create a video and make some content on the new Hourglass face palette for holiday of 2023. So I only picked up one of them, and this is the Jellyfish, and this is the configuration of the Jellyfish that Hourglass put together. It is more for your fair to light skin, which is exactly what I have and exactly why I wanted it. The packaging itself is a tin, but it's more luxurious of a tin than the Too Faced eyeshadow palettes. So most recently I did the Italian Spritz that was in their tin packaging. It feels a little bit more luxurious than that. But it is kind of your metal tin packaging. It's, you know, hard. When you open it, there is a very generous sized mirror in here. This entire front of the palette is a mirror, which is fantastic if you're traveling or, you know, if you need it for touch-ups or whatever the case may be. It is there for you. Now, I will say I have the Hourglass palette. I think it's from 2020. And I love this one because it, you know, holds the position of the mirror perfectly. So you can bend it and it'll stay. The Jellyfish one does not do that. It falls all the way back. So keep that in mind if you're using it for travel. See, it doesn't stay. It just immediately falls down. You would need to, you know, prop something up behind it, you know, if you're in like a hotel room or something and you're trying to use it, or, you know, it's not very heavy. You could hold it if you needed to. But let's talk about now the inside. So there is that full mirror on the front, like I said, and then inside there are 6 powders. There are 2 finishing powders here and here, and I am currently holding it upside down. So think of that if you're, you know, looking at it. So here and here are the finishing powders. This is our highlight. These are your blushes. And then this is your powder bronzer. And I'll just push it up a little closer to the camera so you guys can see. These are very beautiful. The blushes, there are 2 different tones to them. This one is more of your cooler berry tone, and then this is more of like a warm coral, which is fantastic. And they finally did something great this year. So in this particular palette, there are, of the 6 powders, 3 of them I believe are new. So looking at their website, the blush, the cool berry tone one, is new. So here, let me hold this back up for you guys. So this is a new powder. The bronzer is a new shade as well. It's called Lunar Bronze. And then the, where is it? Oh, the highlighter is a new powder as well. The other 3 are existing. And I felt perfectly fine picking this up because I don't have a lot of Hourglass palettes. The only one I really have is this one from 2020 that I picked up, which is the Ambient Lighting Edit Sculpture. And I believe it came out in 2020. Honestly don't remember, but I'm pretty sure that's when it was released. So this one, you can grab it in 3 different configurations. There is the Jellyfish, there is a Leopard, which is aimed more for your medium skin tones. And then there's a snake palette, which is a little bit deeper than your medium, but I don't necessarily know how deep on the spectrum it will go. So unfortunately, while they are getting better about releasing different depths, I guess you could say, of these palettes, they're still not 100% where they probably should be for it being 2023, honestly. Like, I mean, it's great that, you know, I can find one, but not everybody probably can. So there's something to keep in mind. And I know that a lot of these reviews are going up, so if you know, have a darker skin tone, please look for somebody on YouTube that has a darker skin tone and maybe they've reviewed these, so that way you know. Now, the Hourglass website does obviously sell this in the 3 configurations. They do actually have a 4th option, which is taking, you know, the jellyfish, the leopard, or the snake, the color story within the palette, and putting it into this very beautiful owl palette. It's so beautiful. The Hourglass website is the only place to grab that, so keep that in mind as well. However, you can also get it at Sephora and Ulta. The Sephora sale is starting at the end of October if you're Rouge, and then, you know, if you're not, if you're within one of the other tiers, it will start at a later date for you. I can pop all the dates in the description box below. I just gotta find them again. But I believe it's the 27th it starts if you're Rouge, and it goes to November 6th. So there's that. Also, it's available at Ulta as well. So that's another place where you can grab this. And that's actually how I got it. So I accumulated enough Ulta points to cash them in and get myself a little treat. So, without further ado, I'm going to zoom you guys in and we will get started. Alright guys, so I have zoomed you in a little bit just so you can see. Just looking at this palette, now, like I believe I said earlier, if I didn't, I'll say it now. I have used this before. So I can already tell you that if you've ever used an Hourglass powder, this face palette works exactly like other Hourglass powders. So another reason why I felt comfortable grabbing this is because I don't have a lot of Hourglass powders. I only really have, you know, the palette I showed you at the beginning. So I felt pretty comfortable and confident having it. So I'm going to take my little Sigma small contour brush. The pans within this palette are very small, so using I'm trying to find one around here. I know I have one somewhere, I can't find it on this table right now. Like a large fluffy bronzer brush, which is what I usually use, might not necessarily work very well in this palette because of how small the pans actually are. So you might want to keep that in mind as well as you're going. So we're going to use kind of smaller brushes than what we typically would use. But this is the F05 Small Contour. I hope they still sell it. I honestly don't know. I haven't looked on the Hourglass website in a really long time. So we're just going to dip into this bronzer. And I think I forgot to mention it before, but I'm very excited about this new bronzer because not only is it a matte bronzer, which is what I prefer, but it also is more of a neutral tone, which is what I prefer as well. So before I show you, before we do applications, I'm just going to actually show you a difference between the two Hourglass palettes that I have, so you can see how neutral this new bronzer truly, truly is. So zoom in. Oh, there we go. So this here, this is the old one, and this is the new one. So you can see this one's very warm, and if I don't go light-handed with it, it can typically pull orange on my skin. This is more of your neutral bronzer, which is also what I prefer, so that it doesn't turn my very fair skin orange. So we're going to start Just gonna dab it and then we're gonna blend it out. And you can see how it's warming up my face, but at the same time, it's not coming off orange, and it's blending in so beautifully in my skin. Alright, so I added a little to my cheeks. I blended it out. You can see it's warmed up my face a lot, and it's not pulling orange. It is very more of a neutral tone blush, or sorry, bronzer. So I'm going to use my BK Beauty 109 brush. This is a very little brush. It's not dirty, it's just stained. So we're going to use this actually for both of the blushes. I'm going to put one on one side and one on the other side, just so we can use pretty much every powder in this palette today. So I'm going to use it. I'm going to use the Cool Toned Berry Blush, or I think they called it a Cool Tone Mauve. And we're just going to apply it here and blend it. And it is very pigmented, so, you know, we'll blend all this out. But you can see how very beautiful that blush is. And I'm going to just use the same brush. I'm just going to clean it off here and make sure there's no powder left in it. And then we're going to go into the warmer tone, more of a coral color. We'll put it on this side just so we can try everything out. Yeah. And you know, even though this one is more warm than this side, they actually don't look that bad. In real life, not on camera, it honestly doesn't even really look like I'm wearing two different blushes. So they complement each other very nicely. Okay, so now for my favorite part. I'm going to use this ColourPop highlighting brush I have. I think they released this with like their Stone Cold Fox eyeshadow palette. This is from that Stone Cold brush set or whatever they're calling it. But I do really love this. This is the F33. I do love this for your cheekbone area. So this highlighter is very beautiful too. So we're gonna like, that's insane. I'm actually zoom in a little bit more. Absolutely so stunning. And then we're gonna do it over here so we can get that glow going. And then, you know, it's highlighter. You can put it wherever you want. Alright, so we have our bronzer on, we have our blushes on, we have our highlight on, and now I'm just going to marry everything together with the finishing powders. I'm going to use this older Wet n Wild brush that I have. I don't even know if they still sell this, but if they do, it's from their like rose gold collection that they did several years back. And this is the P65. It's gonna work well in the pans. It's small enough to get in there, but it's also nice enough to buff around. So I'm gonna combine both of these powders. One is a little bit more yellow toned and the other one's more white toned. And we're just gonna buff it around. And we're gonna marry everybody together. And do this side too. And I just really like to buff the powders into my face. Make sure it's all in there. It also helps to blend out any edges from your highlight, blush, and bronzer that you may have during your initial application. And you can also use the powders to set your concealer as well. I'm not going to do that today, but that is another option. I like to use the whiter toned one under my eyes. It kind of brightens them up a little bit. Alright, so we have applied the rest of our face makeup, and you know, I look like I have color back to my skin, which I didn't at the beginning of the video since I was saving it for the application of the video. Now, here's my thing. I've seen a lot of videos about this, and I just want to show you guys. I've seen some people comparing the two blushes and saying they look way too similar to be in this eyeshadow palette. And I'm just going to show you on my skin why that's not really true. So here they are on my skin, and they are similar enough for me to get away with wearing two different blushes today. But I don't feel like they're, you know, too similar to not be in here together. And the reason why is if you're, you know, whether you're traveling or not, but let's just say you are traveling and, you know, you want to take this one palette for your blushes and your bronzer and your highlight, and it has your finishing powders in it as well. And then maybe you just bring like one eyeshadow palette, and you know, maybe the color story is a little bit more where there's some warm tones and some cooler tones. I don't know what eyeshadow palette that is, but let's just say it's there. And you have it and you've brought it. And, you know, honestly, you have your cooler tone blush for your cool eye looks, and you have your warmer tone blush for your warmer looks. So, honestly, I think for that capacity, I think it's really nice to have both of these blushes. I would like to say that with the warmer one, I would like to have seen it pull a little bit more coral than it does pink, but they're both very beautiful. They really truly are. And I love having both of them in here. I think this will be great for travel. I love the highlighter, like it's so glowy. I absolutely love it. It would be really beautiful on the eyes as well as an eyeshadow. The bronzer, like I've talked about before, honestly, I love how neutral it is. I really, truly do. I really hope going forward they incorporate more neutral bronzers, especially for the fair skin. The fair skin, it can really start to pull orange. It can really start to look really bad. So I'm very thankful that they didn't do that this time. And then the finishing powders are classic Hourglass finishing powders. So, especially from, you know, the older palette that I have. So, overall, I am happy that I have this. I'm not, you know, upset that I cashed in my Ulta points to get it. However, at the end of the day, I also don't like the fact of how high in price they've gone up from the previous years, because I know I did not spend $90 on this one 3 years ago. The artwork is absolutely beautiful. And the leopard and the snake are beautiful as well. So that's another piece to keep in mind as well. However, at the end of the day, it all is going to depend on you and what you like. If you are very into Hourglass and you look forward to these releases every year, I know a lot of people do. You know, it's classic powder formula from them. You will not be disappointed. The only piece where you might get a little disappointed will depend on your skin tone and what works for you. Obviously, if you're very deep, I don't know that they have one, but like I said before, you know, look up other reviews for darker skin and see, you know, what they are saying would work for you. Because honestly, I can't speak for you. I can only speak for, you know, my fair skin. And on my fair skin, I think it's very beautiful. I really do love it a lot. So that's all we have for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please subscribe if you haven't already, like I said before. And I will see you guys later. Bye!